Hello, everyone. Oh, this is different. Good evening, everyone. Today I thought we'd go ahead and take a few videos just to talk about night flying. It's one of those skills slash things that we do and probably don't do, or we don't do a lot of, but you're really, really missing out when you're flying at night. So let's go ahead and climb inside the Cessna 172 if you can go ahead and see it all right and go over it. So what's the big deal with night flying? Well, some of the times you don't necessarily get to fly during the day. As a matter of fact, my part of the country in the United States, this time of year, once we get into the winter, this is going to be most of your flights if you're going to be flying during the weekdays. On the weekend, sometimes you get something a little nicer, but even then, if you're rolling in at 5 o'clock at night, it's actually about this dark. So you can imagine that you got to have some experience and some practice with it in order to be successful. So we're going to take a look at a couple basic tips for today, and then next time we're going to go ahead and take a couple basic tips as far as things like landing. So let's do it to it. So first things first, illumination. There we go. So inside of Flight Sim, if you press the Alt and the L key, you're going to turn on this little handy-dandy headlamp. Now this blows my mind a little bit because when I flip this thing on, it is a white light. In the real world, whenever you're doing any sort of night flying, the first thing you do is, other than eat a lot of carrots that day, is you need to give your eyes about a half of an hour to adapt to the brightness of the light. So if I flip on a light like this, I can see great, but guess what I just did? I've murdered my night vision. It's going to take another half an hour to get it back. Now, of course, if we're sitting, hey, how you doing, buddy? Now, if we're sitting here in a flight simulator, does it really matter all that much? It kind of can. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get ourselves some proper illumination. Now, this kind of illumination is actually, like I said, not desirable. The one I have is I have a little red flashlight, it's a little LED. They also have these nice little headlamps, which are pretty cool. So what we're going to do is, if I flip these switches, watch what happens. Now, the nice thing is this aircraft was designed so that the basic lighting systems are going to be popping on just like this. But if we want to actually be able to see, you need to find your different floodlights. Now, here's the downside of the floodlights. I crank that thing on, and once again, it is a white light, which again, it's like, come on, people. There's other colors for these. And a lot of aircraft will actually have little floods on them that give you the ability. So here's the rule. Turn it on only as bright as you need it to be. So if I click it right there, does everybody see how I can still basically see all the grayness of the instrument? That is as bright as I need to make that. Now, the next thing you want to think about is you want to think about your panels and your radios. You want to make these only bright enough so that you can see them. Now, here's the downside with this one. If I come over here and flip on the avionics master, whoop, there goes my night vision again. So what you're going to have to do is basically fix with this to get it to the minimum maximum level here. So I got my panels light. My panels lights, that's as high as it's going to go. Unfortunately, I can't do less than this brightness. Some people are like, oh, crank it up. Oh my God, my eyes hurt and I'm just making this video during the day. Ooh. So again, gentle. Make it as dark as you comfortably can get it. Glare shield, all this up, and there goes your night vision again. So you have to be so careful with this, especially in the real world. And of course, we have the little pedestal here, which again, because of that floodlight above my head, I can get really, really kind of narrow down and get it proper here. Let's go ahead and crank this up just one. Oh God! Even that's too bright in my opinion. So here's the next thing you need to be thinking about. And we need to be thinking about how we're going to be getting to our places knowing we're not going to be able to readily see them. Now, there's one cool thing I just want to point out real fast before I get too carried away. That when you go flying, if you're stuck flying, the time of month matters. Check it out. So if we're right now at a solar minimum, actually not a solar, this is a lunar minimum, where basically there's a complete new moon. Now, if we were to advance time a little tiny bit, notice how if I go to a full moon, which would be the 21st of November in this case, if I were to look straight up, you'd see the moon pulling down. Look at how bright it is outside. Now if I go all the way back to where we were a minute ago, down to the first, look at how dark it gets. You'd be amazed the difference in illumination between flying something in a full moon as well as flying something dark like this. So let's go ahead and get this thing started like we normally do. I'm going to go ahead and pop off the avionics. The unfortunate thing is it's very difficult to adjust the brightness on these directly, and we'll go hunting for that switch in a second. But we're going to go ahead and get everything else set up here. Go ahead and turn on the mixture. We're going to pop on the fuel valve. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and flip on the correct lights here. At night, you're required to fly with your navigation lights. You're also still going to need the beacon light, so that number changes. We might as well start this thing correctly. Go ahead and push that thing all the way forward. We'll click on a fuel pump. Looks good. Pull it out. Pull the mixture out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hold the starter, and this moment the thing catches up, we'll go ahead and somehow have to, whatever. Yeah, man. I don't think that's going to work now. There we go. Nice. Got it. Look out the window. You can see everybody's panicking and flying around me at full speed here. Get ourselves up. And the other cool thing about nighttime is something you always want to be thinking about is give yourself twice as much time as you normally need. Now, if I'm running around the outside of this airplane trying to inspect every little piece of this, you can see that without this little headlight, it would be a nightmare. Even with that little headlight, it's an absolute nightmare to be able to see anything. Let's go ahead and flip on our avionics master. Now, of course, the moment you do this, you go, ah! So you'd want to come over here. You'd want to pull out the little knob, and you'd want to adjust the brightness pretty much right away. Unfortunately, we can't come in here and change that setting directly, which is, like I said, kind of a bummer, because normally you can adjust that. Next thing we want to think about at nighttime is just what about illumination on the ground? So I always warn people, when you are illuminating at night, remember that other people are around too, and they need their night vision. So if we're a real jerk face, we come down here and say, oh, landing light, that'll make things nice and bright. Click! Well, it certainly made things nice and bright, but it also, anybody who's coming around here, first of all, there goes my night vision. Second of all, I feel sorry for anybody who's over there who's getting zapped right now. Again, in a flight simulator, we don't care as much, but it's just something to be mindful of. All right, let's go ahead and get this bolt rolling. So now, one thing that I always run into at nighttime, it's like for whatever reason, whenever you're taxiing, if you think you get confused before, wait until you're trying to taxi at nighttime. You will find that things that made perfect sense to you moments ago suddenly make no sense in the slightest. That guy, for example, has decided to cut me off. You can't see my little invisible gesture here, but just and you assume that the jet. Okay, well then, assume that gesture wasn't polite. So one thing that I recommend doing at night that works really well is in the real world, you can actually request progressive taxi. Now, what progressive taxi is going to do is they'll actually tell you when and where you need to go ahead and make your turns in order to safely get somewhere. So in our particular case, we're just making our way over to the main taxiway, and unfortunately, this guy is blocking us. Where's the horn on this thing? I think it's on the front, right? I think I can activate the horn. Let's see. That's it. That's my horn. It's just turning the autopilot back off if you're confused. Excuse me, you're not actually solid, so I'm just going to assume you don't exist. All right, again, one of the nice things about Flight Sim is we can go third person so we can have a better look around. Again, if air traffic control gives you any specific instructions, tells you to do anything, this is always a great time to double check it. A great tip flying at night as well is remember the wind is not going to be nearly as bad. The turbulence isn't going to be as bad because nothing's getting heated up and causing you all sorts of issues. All right, we're going to go ahead and swing down to the runway here. Just line ourselves up nice and quick. Looks good, looks good. Runway 20. We never get to use this runway in the real world. It's kind of boring, not going to lie. It's a good time to go ahead and give everybody the good old-fashioned, I call it the F14, make sure everything's working okay here. And now we can take a look at our other light options. As soon as we've been approved, we can flip on our lights. We can switch from taxi to landing light. Go ahead and pop onto the runway here. Give it just a little bit of power. Again, you don't need anything extreme here. And now remember, it's going to be very difficult to see the ground. Not every runway you take off from is even going to have proper markings on it. So my visibility right now is literally as good as my visibility is going to get. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head when you're operating these things. Now, if you're operating an airliner, you had better be really confident about that airliner before you try to do this. Notice I'm really taking my time trying to go around the corners. Usually I kind of rush around these things, but I absolutely am trying to be careful here because at night, things are going to go messy quickly. Line myself up here. Hold on the brakes. Of course, normally we do a complete run-up and everything like that. Remember, it's difficult to land a plane in an emergency during the day. It's even more fun to try to land it at night. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do our usual little bits, make sure everything's fine. Like I said, go ahead and give it full throttle. Now, it's really important that you pay close attention to your speeds. You don't want to rush things here, but at the same time, you certainly don't want to hang on the ground. If this thing has a liftoff speed of 55, you better believe that nose better be airborne by the time we get to 55. Get it going, nice and smooth. Again, fly just like normal. You're flying one white line to the next white line. There's 50, there's 55 knots. We're going to go ahead and give everything a tug. And we are now airborne, just like that. I didn't use any flaps or takeoff here in order to make my life a little bit simpler, but you can see we are going airborne. Now, get to your normal VY unless you know that there's a potential for obstacles above us. Fortunately for us, we just took off and there's a major city right off my right wing, which means that during this initial climb out here, it's actually going to be very easy to spot things because I can just look out the window and I can see where the city is. Now, if you're flying in the middle of the woods or out of a grass strip, you get to see, let me zoom in, that's what you're going to get to see when you're looking out the window. Meaning if you didn't pull back enough or you got yourself distracted or maybe you got behind the plane, maybe you're talking on the radio, next thing you know, you're one with the local trees and that's going to end really poorly for you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and get myself a little tiny bit of altitude. Then we'll go ahead and call it a video and I will see you during the landing part of this. Enjoy.